Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be my final buzzword reading vlog for 2025, where I will be reading 2 books to complete December's challenges. But before we get started, let me move over so we can just do a quick recap right here. So here is where I am at with the buzzword challenge. You can see I am completely caught up. I only have 1 book remaining. December's buzzword is to read a book with alliteration in the title. So I will be listening to the audio of Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I have started it. At the point I'm starting this vlog, I'm like 25% of the way into it. So I'm going to go ahead and do my first update on that one when I'm like halfway through. But I have started that. I'm enjoying it so far. I'll talk more about it when I do my update. But that is where I am with buzzword. Let's flip now to the buzz cover. Again, I only need to read 1 book. I am caught up on that. The buzz cover prompt for December is to read a book with a monotone colored cover, if that makes sense. So I will be reading a book from my 2025 TBR, which I'll link up above, and that is going to be Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. So aside from the pink font and then this Reese's Book Club sticker, you can see the picture in the background is in black and white, so it works for a monotone cover. So this one does not have a great rating on Goodreads, but I'm very curious about it. I will be reading this in the second half of this vlog because I want to go ahead and finish Spinning Silver first so that I'm not getting them mixed up. This one I have an audiobook out from the library for, but I also can read it physically, or I might do a tandem read. I haven't fully decided how I'm going to read this one yet. But this one is not terribly long. It's a bit of a mystery, I think, or at least has mystery elements. But this one has 365 pages, so should be a quicker read. Spinning Silver is bigger. The audiobook, I think, said something like 15 hours, but I'm listening on 1.8, so it will go a little bit faster than that. But those are the 2 books you will see me read in this vlog. This is actually going to be my final buzzword-based vlog because in 2026 I'm not going to do dedicated buzzword vlogs, at least not right now. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that I can fit the buzzword into other vlogs, and then I'm thinking that for the buzz cover, if she does that again, I'm assuming she's going to, but she hasn't fully announced it yet. But if she does the buzz cover, I'm going to just try to check that off like as I go through my reading naturally and not necessarily read a specific book each month. But anyway, that's kind of my plans for next year. So this will be the final buzzword vlog that I'm planning on filming. So hopefully it will be a good one. So without further ado, let's get reading, and I will come back and talk with you about Spinning Silver once I am at the halfway point. Hello all, I am about 60% of the way through Spinning Silver, so I wanted to go ahead and do a little reading update. Also, apologies for my voice. I have a cold, lovely, but yes, so this book has a lot going on. We're following multiple POVs, and as the book goes through, we're getting additional POVs added. So ultimately, we're following 3 women. We have Miriam, Wanda, and Irina, or Irina is how they're pronouncing it. So those are our 3 main characters, but then we also are getting some POVs from some side characters as well, which started, I would say, right before the halfway point. So we have Miriam. Miriam's family is Jewish. Her father is a moneylender who is not good at his job. He is just too caring and compassionate, so he doesn't require people that he borrows money to pay them back. This causes some outrage, if you will, with Miriam, particularly when her mother becomes ill. Miriam decides she's going to take over the family business and she is going to collect these debts that are owed to her family. And in doing so, she starts making a lot of income. So one day she makes a boast, if you will, to her mother, where she says that she can turn silver into gold. This is overheard by the king of the fairyland called the Starrick, and he becomes enamored with the idea of turning silver into gold. Gold is something that is not really available in the Staric world. So he then sets her 3 tasks. She completes the 3 tasks, and in return, he marries her, even though she's not interested in him and he's not really interested in marrying her. So that's kind of the setup for like Miriam's story. Irina is the daughter of a duke. She is gifted jewelry made out of Staric silver, which is how Miriam was like making the money and turning silver into gold. And she then catches the eye, I guess, if you will, of the czar of their area and becomes engaged and then marries him. However, the czar's got something going on with him, and he basically wants to kill Irina to satisfy a demon. So there you go. That's Irina's story. Wanda comes from a poor family. She starts helping at Miriam's family's house, just doing like tasks and things like that, because Wanda's father owes money to Miriam's father and he cannot pay it back. So she made a deal that she would take Wanda on as like a servant, and Wanda could pay off her family debt. So that's Wanda. Wanda has 2 brothers, Sergei and Stefan. And now we've met the whole cast of characters. So there's a lot going on, as I mentioned, because we're following like these multiple POVs. At this point, Miriam and Irina's story have like connected, and they have concocted this plan, which we have not seen come to fruition yet, but I think is about to happen within the next few chapters. So that's kind of, I guess, the climax of the story, if you will. So Miriam is now living in Staric land. She is trying to figure out how she fits in here, because the Staric do things very differently than humans do. And her and her husband, I should say, have a bit of a contentious relationship. She's not interested in him. He didn't really want to marry her. But in their world, if you do a task for somebody, you have to be paid back. So there's no like free gifts. So because Miriam kind of calls him out and is basically like, what are you going to do for me since I'm changing all of your silver into gold? He then marries her as like a completion of whatever this is, this vow or whatever. So they don't like each other. And Irina obviously does not much care for her husband. So there's a lot going on, like I mentioned. We have a lot of magic going on here in terms of the Staric, because basically the real world is existing right next to this fairy fae land. And whatever the Staric do impacts the real world. So in the case of this book, the Staric are ice beings, for lack of a better word. So they want things cold. So because of that, the cold and the snow is like transferring over into the real world, and it is causing a lot of like crop devastation and things like that, obviously, because the seasons are becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. So they're not able to get the crops that they would normally have to maintain life. So that's kind of, I guess, the overarching problem here. So yes, I'm very curious to see how everything's going to come together. As I said, I believe the like climax of Miriam and Irina's like deal is going to come up within the next couple chapters. And then obviously we're going to see some kind of resolution, because that's how Naomi Novik writes her like fantasy stories. So yes, I am enjoying it so far. Like I said, there's a lot going on. It's pretty complex. I do like the world. I like the way that she has set up this fairy world and the way she has like weaved together these stories so far. So I'm enjoying it a lot. The audio is well narrated, and I would recommend the audiobook if you are wanting to read it. As I said earlier, I can't get a physical copy of this, so I'm just relying on the audio, but I'm currently at 59%, and I am in chapter 16. So we're getting there. There are 25 chapters. So getting close to the end, but yes, enjoying it so far. And once I have finished it, I will of course share full thoughts, final rating, everything like that. But I would say this definitely reminds me of Uprooted, which is the other book that I've read by this author in terms of like the fantasy world building. I know a lot of people didn't like Uprooted and they liked Spinning Silver better. I liked Uprooted. I think I gave it 4 stars. So I'll be curious to see how this one comes out in the end. But yes, going well so far. Now I need to stop talking so I can finish getting ready for work, but I am hopeful that I can finish Spinning Silver within the next couple days. I am also reading another book that I'm not going to really talk about in this vlog, which is A Conspiracy of Kings. It's the 4th book in the Queen's Thief series, and I'm reading that one kind of at night when I go to bed. So I've been kind of jumping between the two, but yes, hopefully Spinning Silver will be done within the next 2 days because of course I need to also finish the other book for this vlog. So yes, anyway, enough talking. I will chat with you later on once I have finished the book. All right, all, I have finished Spinning Silver and I am giving it 4 stars. This was a unique take on the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale. So I liked that look. I've already talked a little bit about what's going on here. I would say at about the 65% mark, we see the culmination of our 2 characters' plan. And then the remainder of the book is kind of the aftermath of that. There's a nice action scene towards the end that I enjoyed, and I really liked the character of Irina. I feel like she really comes into her own and is very strong-willed. She has to kind of reach deep inside herself to make some decisions, and I just really liked her character arc. I don't know that I necessarily completely connected with all of the characters, but I will say the last chapter, particularly, I would say the last half of the last chapter kind of made me tear up a little bit, so that was a nice way to kind of cap the book off. My one complaint would be that it's perhaps a little long. I did feel like the middle of the book kind of was dragging a bit, and had I not been listening on audio, I could see that I would have gotten a bit bogged down in the narrative and kind of wanting the story to hurry up. So I'm not going to give it 5 stars, but it is very well written. I really liked the world building and I enjoyed the look at the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale in a totally different way. So I would highly recommend. Really glad I read it. And that will, now we'll take a look, complete the Buzzword challenge for 2025. So hooray. We're now going to move on to the Buzz cover. As I mentioned, I will be reading Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. I'm going to go ahead and just read the back and then I will get into reading the book. So it says, 10 years ago, after a sun-soaked summer spent in Greece, best friends Bess and Joni were cleared of having any involvement in their friend Evangeline's death. But that didn't stop the media from ripping apart their teenage lives like vultures. While the girls were never convicted, Joni, ever the opportunist, capitalized on her newfound infamy to become a motivational speaker. Bess, on the other hand, resolved to make her life as small and controlled as possible so she wouldn't risk losing everything all over again. And it almost worked. Except now, Joni needs a favor, and when she turns up at her old friend's doorstep asking for an alibi, Bess has no choice but to say yes. She still owes her, but as the 2 friends try desperately to shake off their past, they have to face reality. Can you ever be an innocent woman when everyone wants you to be guilty? So that's the synopsis. This is tagged as mystery thriller, but I have seen some people say that it's not really a mystery thriller, so I know that going in. I'm wondering if this maybe leans more women's fiction, literary fiction, perhaps, but obviously we'll find out once I read it. But this will be the next book that I read in this vlog, so let's go ahead and get into it. Hello all. I have actually completely finished Before We Were Innocent. I read this in its entirety yesterday and I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think the biggest issue with this book is that it is mismarketed. This is not a mystery or thriller. This is definitely more general fiction. We are following, as I already said with the synopsis, these 2 girls who were arrested for the murder of their friend several years ago. I think it's been 10 years at this point. They were eventually acquitted of charges, but they have taken very different paths in their life ever since. The POV character is Bess, and she is the one that's kind of just been sitting back and letting life happen to her. She is not willing to put herself out there. She's not willing to go through the loss of anything, which is what happened when she was arrested. And as such, she's a very passive character. So she allows herself to get pulled into a situation with Joni, who is the other girl, and is kind of manipulated a bit. So I would say that's kind of mostly what this book is about. I liked it, but I never connected with either character. Again, we only have one POV, so I think that's part of the issue. I think it would have been interesting to have Joni's POV, but I can see ultimately why the focus was on Bess. This is definitely more of her kind of coming to terms with her life and perhaps figuring out how to live again. But I wouldn't say that she's overly successful. So I'm trying not to spoil anything, but obviously that's kind of my feelings on this. We do have two mystery elements. So the first one obviously is the death of Evangeline and figuring out what actually happened with that. We do find out what happened. And then we also have the second mystery, which is related to Joni and her wife. I believe they're married, and her wife's disappearance. So that's kind of what kicks off the whole book. Joni shows up at Bess's doorstep, and then like the next day they find out that her wife is missing, and Bess has to be her alibi because of what happened in Greece. So it's a lot of her feeling like she owes her and feeling guilty and things like that. So again, I feel like it's more general fiction. Saying that this is a mystery thriller is not true. If you just heard one of my cats, that was Sage. I think she wants breakfast. But yeah, so I did enjoy this. I got through it very quickly on audio. Like I said, I just pretty much listened to it in like 2 sittings. I was multitasking, so I was listening to this while I was playing The Sims, and I'm giving it 3 stars. I don't think it's anything fantastic. So would I necessarily recommend it? No, but I do think that part of why it has a low rating on Goodreads, which I'll put a picture of the rating right here because I can't remember what it is right now, but I think part of the issue is that it's just mismarketed. So people are going into it thinking that it's going to be something that it's not. So anyway, it is finished, which means, as you can see here, I have officially completed the Buzz cover challenge as well, so we can check off the 2025 challenge. I will be participating in the challenge next year, but I am not going to be doing dedicated buzzword vlogs. I believe I said that at the beginning of this video. It's been a few days now, I can't remember. But so I will not be doing dedicated vlogs next year. I'm going to just try to fit those books into my everyday reading, if you will, and see if I can't fit those books into other plans that I have. So I will be doing like updates on the buzzword challenge, and if she does buzz cover again, I'll do an update on that, probably at my like quarterly reading recap, so we can see where I am and what I still need to do, but I will not be doing dedicated vlogs. So this will be the final buzzword vlog, and I had a pretty good time overall reading. So Spinning Silver was 4 stars. This one is 3 stars. This one had been sitting on my shelf for a few years. This one came out, was it 2023? Let me double check. Yeah, this one came out in 2023, and I think I picked it up last year. So it's off of my TBR now. I won't be keeping it. It's not anything spectacular. And again, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it unless it really sounds like something you're interested in, but just know it's not a mystery or thriller. So there we go. That's going to conclude this buzzword vlog. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of this video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave a beach-related emoji in honor of the setting of Greece in this book. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.